Okay, I am going to remove, at least attempt to remove, the masking fluid for the orange. I am using this wacky thing, a rubber cement pickup eraser, I think it's called. I am trying to do this fairly gently because I have found that couple things. This paper is not gonna. It's possible that some of the to rip some of the paper if you do this too strongly and too strenuously. It's kind of tricky because depending on the paper, it will both go on a little bit easier and come off a little easier. I feel like this particular one, it seems like it was a little bit tricky both ways, especially if it's grabbing like a big chunk and starting to pull. You'll get a sense. And so you can see where I am pulling it up is where I have saved highlights for my orange. I'm going to come back and touch up some things in a couple ways. But just so you know, so that's one way. Another way, if your hands are good and clean, there, now mine are really good and clean, I'm just sure of it. I dipped it in actual water and dried them off. You can. This is frowned upon in some circles, but used all the time in other circles. So depending on what circle you subscribe to, you can just use your finger to sort of gently pull it off, rub it up. Seems like that will give you a little bit more control than the stickiness of the that eraser thing. Yeah, I'm trying to be pretty careful. It doesn't want to come off very easily, and if I start pulling too hard, I'm afraid it's going to rip the paper. But you see over here, when we added the highlights after there was already a little bit of light yellow, sorry, a little bit of masking fluid after a layer of light yellow, it saved those light yellows. And when we put it on right at the beginning, it's saving the white paper. Let's see, there's some more over there. You can, sometimes I will say it does seem like you kind of need to use your fingers to really get a sense of where there is any left. So go slower than I'm going, at least at the beginning, until you're a little bit more comfortable with it. And, you know, obviously that's not exactly how a highlighted orange is going to look, but for me, it's close enough, by golly. I think what I'm going to do is come in with one last layer of paint. I'm going to be really careful about letting this area right here where the light source would be hitting to not get any paint. I'll probably try to bring in a little bit of light yellow over here and a little bit of darker orange over here. And going over these edges are so hard that it'll sort of soften that a little bit. This water's pretty clean. Are you clean enough, water? Let me see. I'm talking to my water. I'm going to call that clean enough. So let's see, clear water, invisible paint. I want to wet it down in a way where I'm really sort of going to not either wet it down much or at all around that highlight area. It's real easy to, once you take masking fluid off and then start trying to touch up a little bit more, it seems like it's pretty easy to all of a sudden do something to where you've actually just painted all those highlights you so carefully tried to preserve. And it can be kind of humbling when you're trying to if you try to get it back to that saved white and it doesn't want to do it. So that's one of the whole reasons why people use masking fluid in the first place. I'm going to use a clean paper towel, sort of dab right there in that area to make sure that the paint doesn't get in there. That's a little technique in itself. It's not a foolproof way of making a completely gradual edge, but it can work. A little bit of yellow. You look like you have green in you. I'm talking to my paint. I may have used that brush with some phthalo blue. I'm going to try another round. And another thing, it's because I just wet that with this shape with clear water. You know, usually I try to have color mixed up and whatnot beforehand. But so this is just yellow, the azo yellow, and bringing it in a few different places. It's kind of too small of a brush for this particular application, but it's what I had right now. It's too small for bringing in sort of more of an orangey that I want to, even a little bit orangey red. That's not orangey red. What is that? I don't know. Why would I know? I'm just a teacher. Ooh, that is nice. Nice, stronger orange. As the sphere shape keeps turning away from the light source, it'll get darker, and hopefully that made sense in those color studies. Over here it's getting to where it's just probably just too much water overall. This is kind of fun. Up here, as long as the shape is still wet, you can kind of run it along the edge like that, and that can give it that nice sort of darkened at the edge look. I'm going to bring my small brush in for one last little more of a reddish orange, then an orangey red right over in this area where there would be a little bit more reflection between the apple and the orange. The light yellow is kind of pooling up there, which I'm not that crazy about. So yeah, like I think I was talking about, this is a number 2 round by Simmons, and is handy as well as that round number 4 synthetic. I'm going to try to bring in it just a little bit more of the darker orange to help make that read that much more as a sphere. So I didn't get a whole lot over there, but that's okay. I wanted to come back and try to get a little bit of more definition. I could do that with a little bit darker color, but that's getting a little bit nitpicky. One thing I sometimes do is basically try to become like a pointillistic pen and ink. I'm spacing the term what I would call this, but just sort of using very dry color and dropping in little random dots of it in various places, and that's sort of it doesn't really work on the tape. Just trying to demonstrate that. But yeah, I'm going to call that good for the orange. No, I'm not. I'm good at that. There. Put down the paintbrush. Okay, I'm going to dry that and then come back for more.